Judy and I and our family was raised in Woodlawn in Baltimore County. So we had the opportunity to know a lot about William Donald Schaefer, especially as a very astute politician, mayor of Baltimore City, and went on to be governor of the state. But for us, there was more than simply being a politician. It was a person who really enjoyed the people of Baltimore. He loved the neighborhoods of Baltimore. He loved the state of Maryland, all the way from Garrett County and Allegheny County to the Chesapeake Bay to the Eastern Shore. But for me personally, I think the thing that always impressed me about William Donald Schaefer was that he fully believed that if God had blessed you, then you had a responsibility to bless somebody else. If God had given you a good education or financial security, then you had a responsibility to share that and make somebody's life a little bit better. That's really where the Shepherd staff got started. Over 20 years ago, a group of churches in the downtown area realized they could not serve all the people that came to their doors by themselves. So they formed a Shepherd staff. They formed a community group. And over the years, that has grown and grown enormously to all over Carroll County. And we have interconnections with all kinds of people. So for us, that's part of our history, and that's who we are. On behalf of Brenda Meadows, our executive director, the board, and certainly several hundred volunteers, we're very glad that we have you here today. Good to have the controller here as well to receive this, and we have some elected representatives representing us in Annapolis and county commissioners. It's a good for us too. But I do want to say one thing and say it very clearly. We realize that these are election days, and you don't ride up and down 140 without seeing all the posters. And there's a lot of important things that are happening. But for the Shepherd staff, the most important person of all is the person who walks through our door and says, I need help. The person who walks through our door and says, is there any way you can help me with food or lodging or clothing or something? And I think the interdependency of the Shepherd staff with other nonprofit agencies in Carroll County really makes a difference. We take very seriously the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian scriptures that say that we need to look out for the poor. Not simply to give them a nod, but to be supportive of them. We take very seriously the teaching of Jesus, who said, I've come not to be served, but to serve. So for us, that's a very, very important thing. Let me just say a final word, and then we'll introduce officially the controller who is going to make our presentation. We work, the Shepherd staff, with many other nonprofits in Carroll County. And I've got to lift them up, because without them and the cooperation that we have together, there's a lot of people who would fall between the cracks. The budgets are tough right now. Our county commissioners are struggling with a budget. Many of the nonprofits are fearful that their budgets are going to be cut, and they're not going to have the funds. And if they don't have the funds, it just always trickles down that somebody in need is left out. So if you're praying, if you're supporting, whatever you're doing, really think about the people who work for people or serve people who really almost have no political power, no economic power, but they're still citizens of our community. And these are the people that need to be worked for. So the Shepherd staff exists for that. We're proud of that. We work hard, and we're trying to make a dent, I think, in the society as well. So for us to receive this humanitarian award about William Donald Schaefer from the controller of the state of Maryland, Peter, we just thank you very, very much. And for us, we are grateful for that opportunity.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you, Dr. Peel, and thank you for being the chair of the board of this wonderful organization, and delighted that everyone is here. I have actually two great predecessors. Louis Goldstein was comptroller for 40 years, just a great guy, and I'd like to just start out by indicating that I've had probably 1,000 people ask me over the years that I've been comptroller, hey, where's the gold coin? Right? Because Louis handed out these gold coins. I swear to God, he must have handed out 1 million of them. Anyway, I recently had made at my own expense comptroller medallions made up They're not plastic like Louis. This is the real thing. But I give them to Marylanders who make a difference, and I'd like to give one to a very dear friend of mine, Delegate Nancy Stockstale. Yep. Yep.
Thank you so much.
There it is. I don't know. I'm a Democrat. She's a Republican, but she's A-OK in my book. And Dr. Peel mentioned the great mayor and governor and comptroller, William Donald Schaefer, who was my immediate predecessor. Be absolutely honest, he had no use for me. Sorry. Personally, you know how the governor was. He was very much from that greatest generation. All things were personal to him. And he did love my mom, who is 92 and is still with us. And I introduced him when I was a delegate. And because he really responded to that greatest generation, I think. But he was such a great guy. And we've made this award in his honor, frankly, for exactly what Lou said. His staff, Christine Feldman-Duray, was a great Schaefer employee for many years, and I'm lucky that she still stayed with us in the comptroller's office during my time. But Christine tells me that the governor would often pull his wallet out and give $5 to a panhandler who came up to him. And everybody would get very, nervous about that because, he's the governor or he was a comptroller. And he would always say, hey, it's okay. I know I don't have to do it, but I do it because there but for fortune. Any of us lose a job to come to the Shepherd staff, and it's embarrassing for people, I guess. But geez, you get treated with dignity. Somebody says that's okay. There but for fortune. So I can't think of a better recipient of the William Donald Schaefer Award for Carroll County. And trust me, I say all over the state that Maryland is lucky to have Carroll County. We're lucky to have this county in our wonderful state because the values and the frugality and the community action that Shepherd staff represents, the faith-based, how important is that? You can't even say it anymore in politics that we believe in Christian values or Jewish values or any religious. We just can't even say it anymore. Well, I can tell you very honestly that I am so happy to be in a position to recognize a faith-based organization like this and to, on behalf of the state of Maryland, thank the board and all the anybody that volunteers for treating people first and foremost with dignity. It is just, I see the former mayor shaking his head over there and nodding it. Think about it. And folks know what's going on out there, so the fact that we're in a tough economy right now just makes this organization that much more important. And I'd like to hear from Delegate Stockstale and Delegate Reedy if they want to say a word in a minute after I present this. And not sure if the orphan court judge wants to say something, but I'm perfectly willing to hear him. But let me ask Brenda to come up and present this certificate if I could.
Come on. I don't do that without these ladies.
Yeah, they can come on up too. So, this is from, frankly, all the elected officials that are here today, but it's with a lot of heartfelt appreciation from the good people of the state of Maryland to the Shepherd staff. with my congratulations for being awarded the 2014 William Donald Schaefer Helping People Award for Carroll County in recognition of your tireless dedication to helping needy families and individuals, with special appreciation for your commitment to supporting those facing challenges and encouraging pathways to self-sufficiency. My best wishes for continued success, presented this 7th day of May, 2014. Brenda, here is the actual thing, and here is something that I hope your volunteers and your board members understand how much we appreciate and value all of the services. And I'm just looking at the list on the program. I'm going to make a contribution, and so thank you, Brenda. There you go. Go ahead and say it.
Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're so honored, and just to touch very briefly on what you were talking about from the number of individuals that are served, we year over year, 2012 to 2013, have had an increase of 30% in the number of individuals that we're serving. Those, you can break that down from the perspective of about half of the 30% are totally new to the organization. They have never ever been to the Shepherd staff for help. And the other half, the other 15%, have been to the Shepherd staff, but not since 2008. So it's been quite some time. They've been able to be on their feet and help themselves, but with the economy, they've just really struggled. So on behalf of the staff and our star volunteer, thank you so very much. And I just have a few words, but
Go ahead. No, please, give them a minute.
I probably am not as practiced or as versed as my two preceding individuals, so I have to have my notes. But good afternoon again. Welcome to the Shepherd staff. And I have to start by saying that it was Becky Mario that called me and excitedly asked whether I had seen the email from Christine at the comptroller's office. And you see, it was Becky that nominated us for this award, and we'd like to take this opportunity to give her a heartfelt thanks for that. And when she called me, I had not yet seen that email, so I very excitedly went to open the email and read that Peter Francho, the comptroller of the state of Maryland, would be here to present us with the 3rd annual William Donald Schaefer Helping People Award. We were just ecstatic. For us, we are excited and incredibly humbled, knowing that there are people in the community that feel strongly enough about what we do to nominate the Shepherd staff is truly a blessing. To know that the work of our volunteers, our supporters, the board, the staff are being recognized for the things that they do on a daily basis in this community and that we're exemplifying what William Donald Schaefer's lifelong commitment to helping people is truly a gift for us. And I say that, but I'd like to move on because this isn't about us here. I'd like to take a moment to share a story about how we are working to our mission to encourage pathways to self-sufficiency and why this award is so important to the people that we serve. He lived in a cemetery. He had recently returned from the South, where he was in prison. He did his time. He came home to start his life over again. He rekindled his relationship with his family, but in doing so, he forgot to look at himself and get himself engaged in a recovery program. He stole his sister's car. Immediately upon realizing what he had done, he turned himself in, but it was too late. His sister had already reported that the car had been stolen. So the door to his family was closed once again. So after he served his time, and while he found himself living in that cemetery, he prayed. And he met another homeless individual there who suggested that he come here to the Shepherd staff. And he did the following morning and spoke with Velma. It was then that he started each day stopping by the Shepherd staff to take a shower, to wash his clothes, to get his mail, to read the paper so that he could find a job. and he rode his bike up and down the street, up and down Main Street, up and down 140 looking for a job. And in fact, he found a job. He found 2 jobs. But he was still living in the cemetery. He lived in the cemetery because while he was here, we also referred him to a recovery program. The recovery programs require that you have a vested interest in that recovery. They feel quite strongly that you need to be the one to put the funding forward so that you will follow through with the program. So he lived in the cemetery for 2 weeks, went to work every day, put his money aside, and in 2 weeks' time, he enrolled himself in the program. He successfully completed that program, and he continues to work those 2 jobs, and he started a business of his own. In addition to that, he is now a recovery counselor in the same addiction facility where he found hope. And a blessing for us, he continues that relationship, that connection with the Shepherd staff. He comes to the Shepherd staff from time to time, and he donates back shampoo, deodorant, toothpaste, things that he used while he was here to make a difference in his life. And as he put it, he said, if it wasn't for the confidence instilled in him by the staff and the volunteers, and the ability to have some place to take a shower, wash and dry his clothes, receive his mail, he does not know what he would do, what he would have done. But for him, saying all that, having done those things for this gentleman, the most important thing for him was that we treated him with compassion when he walked through those doors. We treated him with dignity, and we treated him with respect. We looked him in the eye when he walked through the door. We had a conversation. He was home. And after going through that experience, he shared with us that without these things, he doesn't know that he would even be walking on this earth today, and that he wants to have a hand in that change in other people's lives. So, thank you so much.
Nancy, please.
Well, that's pretty hard to follow. But I can tell you, in working with constituents in the community, many of them have been helped by Shepherd staff. And I also belong to an organization where they make contributions to the Shepherd staff because they feel that's the way they can give back. But I do want to tell you about my relationship with Comptroller Francho. We served on the same committee for 12 years. And I can tell you, he and I did not agree on much of anything. Is that right?
Yeah.
But since he's been comptroller and he's been out around, he's been in Carroll County many, many times to give a word, to visit with people, to take a tour of Westminster. And I think he's learned how people outside of Montgomery County live. And
I'm a late bloomer.
And I just admire him so much because when I call his office, they are all willing to help. And I can tell you, his office is one, the only one I think, that I can walk into and feel welcome. He's always, come on in, Nancy, tell me, talk to me. And Peter, I really appreciate that. And I certainly appreciate this medal. I'm going to cherish it.
Thank you.
And again, thank all of the people that are involved in Shepherd staff. And I hope that this gets put in the newspaper and on radio and television, and so more people become aware of what's going on. Thank you very much.
Justin, please.
Well, just very briefly, so excited to be here today. Comptroller Francho, I just want to echo what Delegate Stykes says. We really appreciate you taking the time to recognize all over the state, but especially in our county, just what a great organization like Shepherd Staff does for our community. My father's a pastor, and our church has been involved with not only sending people, but also donating supplies and donating to Shepherd Staff. And it's just an example of what happens here in Carroll County. We work together as a county. When we see a problem, we work together as a community to try to solve it. We have some great nonprofit organizations, but Shepherd staff is right up there with all of them. And I think this award is something that really I hope can give you even a greater push. And I know that's what we wanted to see happen. The fundamental issue that I think everybody, not just politicians or elected officials, but really every person needs to be a champion for is the dignity of every human life. And I think that your organization really, illustrates that in such a spectacular way. And we just really appreciate you having us here along with the comptroller, and we thank you so much, and thank you for what you do for our community. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. As one of the newer board members, we all want to serve. We all want to give back to our community in one form or another. And we all want to make sure that commitment to service has a direct impact. I just want to take the opportunity to thank Brenda and Board Chair Peel for offering me and giving me the opportunity to serve in a capacity that actually you can witness the impact every day of the decisions that we make at those board meetings. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve the community of Carroll County. Thank you much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't you close it off here, and thank you for opening it up.
I believe Brenda's going to give our distinguished guests a tour of the building. I don't have anything else. There's some light refreshments inside. The building, you're going to notice, is jammed. No matter where you look. One of our hopes is that in the future we'll be able to either add an extension to the building and do even more work, and that's one of our dreams and hopes as well. So thank you again for coming, for being with you, for your trip up, and God be with you. Brenda, you're going to do a tour? Yeah.